Hello and welcome to Play PKN, the weekly video bulletin of what's making headlines on PKN Packaging News, Australia's media hub for the packaging industry. Top of the list today is our story about the Australian bushfires and the ongoing havoc that they're wreaking. In particular, affected is the containerboard sector, and we're facing an unprecedented crisis of fibre supply, with the ongoing bushfires wiping out huge swathes of trees in the plantations that are feeding some of the mills. In particular, this has affected the Vizzy mill in Tumut, the country's largest manufacturer of containerboard materials. At the Vizzy site, the surrounding plantation forests have been decimated, with about 40% of the softwood trees there being affected. Reports suggest that production of the kraftliner at the mill has already been curtailed. We've also heard other reports that the Australian paper mill, which supplies the Aurora containerboard plant, or the corrugated box plant, have escaped relatively unscathed, although of course everybody is highly aware that the potential for further serious fires remains high. There's more on this story on our website. In the plastics recycling arena, a new government report says that that Australia is in dire need of more plastics recycling capacity, up to 400%, to reach its 2025 targets, which are stated at 70%. This is because, as we all know, the export markets have dried up. In the 2017 to 2018 period, the report suggests that of the plastics packaging that has been recycled, both rigid and flexible packaging, the rate was only at 27.6%. We spoke to the Australian Packaging Covenant Organisation, and they say, however, that they are confident that we will be able to meet those 70% targets by 2025. In fact, in March, APCO will be releasing its new framework, which will provide guidelines for exactly how those targets will be met, giving direction on which plastics we will need to target for recycling and which will need to be phased out. Speaking of phasing out of plastics, New Zealand supermarket chain Countdown, which is part of the Woolworths Group, has invested $500,000 New Zealand in its new unwrapped label, or its unwrapped program, let's say, in which 65 products over a period of 10 weeks will be wrapped not in plastic that they usually would be wrapped in, but in paper-based and cardboard packaging. Also in the produce aisle, they'll be replacing plastic bags with paper bags. Of course, plastic material does play a very important part in packaging, especially when it comes to barrier properties. And this week we also report on a new breakthrough film that's been developed. It's an antimicrobial layer that is combined with polyethylene plastic, which is commonly used in vacuum packaged meat and chicken. And this liner is made from a biopolymer that is derived from fermented starch syrup. And as a result of that, it has these antimicrobial properties, but also is already food application approved. And finally, in a bit of news from us, we've welcomed a new editor to the PKN team, Ian Ackerman, and also our latest issue of PKN is out. For this and more stories, please go to our website, packagingnews.com.au. That's me, Lindy Hewson, signing off.